Chapter 10. The Fearful Dog. Fear is a bit like a computer virus that gets into your machine simply by clicking on a link. Fear, in other words, is shockingly easy to install and hideously difficult to uninstall. It often leaves something behind, and unlike a computer virus, it's not always obvious what's causing the problem. And because our dogs are not robots, the cause can be varied and the road to recovery pitted with the unexpected. That isn't to say that there isn't a solution, but, and there's no getting away from it, dealing with fear in dogs is a tough gig. There's one unhelpful myth around fear that I want to bust, largely because I would really like people who are living with a fearful dog to seek support and help as they travel through such an uncertain landscape. That is the idea that all fearful dogs have been mistreated or abused. While this can be true, it's far from true for all of those who are identified as fearful. Fear may start life as the result of a single unfortunate event intended by no one. It may be a single unkind act or a prolonged mistreatment, but it can also be the product of genetic predisposition, often made even more likely by human selective breeding for traits that seem useful to us but are rooted in a heritage of suspicion or mistrust. It may be a genetic byproduct. A single traumatic event experienced by the pregnant mother can have dramatic consequences for her litter, as can the behaviour of a nervous mother during pregnancy, as well as during the formative early weeks of the litter's life. Experiments on mice have shown that nervous mothers often give birth to nervous litters, while confident mothers, in turn, give birth to confident broods. However, if you swap those litters shortly after birth, the fearful dam will raise fearful young, while the anxious youngsters reared by the confident parent remain fearful. Easy to install, devilishly hard to get rid of. It is an absolute minefield, and one where we've learned that many of the old adages don't apply. For example, throw them in at the deep end and they'll learn to swim. Sadly, they'll very likely sink. The language barrier between dogs and people is challenging enough without us misinterpreting expressions of fear or anxiety as bad behaviour that needs to be punished out. Our dogs can't pick up the phone and ask for help from a mental health professional. They can't tell you what's on their mind, and for our part, sadly, we can't just put a description of their behaviour into Google Translate and get back an appeal for support. All too often, fearful behaviour, whether it includes aggressive behaviours or not, is misconstrued as belligerent, confrontational, or competitive. The reality is that dogs have a limited vocabulary with which to explain to us how they are feeling. Their vocabulary is made up of a set of behaviours that we as a species, the smartest on the planet, need to get better at understanding, also that our friend, the dog, can access better services that will aid them towards recovery. The long and the short of it is that we are ultimately responsible for making dogs who they are today through domestication and collaboration in selective breeding. They are way more than just dogs. They are colleagues, friends and family members. They have identities and personalities. They are sentient beings who deserve our respect, tenderness and understanding. That means learning how they learn and making sure that we put that knowledge to the service of not just making our lives easier with them, but doing everything in our power to make their lives with us more joyous every day.